Bournemouth won. The result that none of us, I think in our wildest dreams, really anticipated being a reality today. So much to talk about, but I want to throw some things at you straight away. First of all, in that second half, a penalty apart against 10 men created absolutely nothing. Created nothing in the second half against 10 men apart from a penalty, which, whether it was a penalty or not, I'm not getting into that at the moment, but it wasn't like it was a clear-cut chance we created for the penalty. We missed it. We created nothing apart from at the end that Pogba threw at in the last few minutes. But in the proper 45 minutes of that half, created absolutely nothing. Hull City at home, Bournemouth at home, Stoke at home, Burnley at home, West Ham at home, even Arsenal at home, all drawn, all games we should have won. Mourinho's bottlers is exactly the right word to use. You might not like it. You might be, Manchester United win, lose or draw, we support them. And of course we do. Of course we support them. We're not going anywhere. But of course we have the right to be disgusted with that performance today. It is shocking. It is 150%, and it's not even a word, shocking to have had to put up with that yet again. There were the doubters saying we will draw this game. I never saw it coming. Never in a million years did I see that coming, because it never, ever, ever, ever should have happened. Up until that Phil Jones, absolute Calamity Jones signature move, it was some of the best football I've seen at Old Trafford in a long time. We created chances. We pressed them into the final third. We were getting at them. We should have been 2-3 up again within half an hour, but we get the goal. Rojo, it's a bit of a soft goal to concede, but we get the goal. We're in control. But if you watch the watch along, a lot of people were saying Phil Jones doesn't look at the races. He doesn't look fit. He doesn't look at the races. And lo and behold, he'd been knocked off the ball a couple of times into the penalty box. Ridiculous tackle. And it's only because of Phil Jones. Bournemouth get back into that entire game. They create nothing in the whole game. Granted, they only had 10 men in the second half. They did only have 10 men in the second half. But they created nothing in the first half, really. Nothing. Phil Jones basically handed them a point on a plate, and Zlatan added the seasoning by missing a penalty. But I'm baffled what we did in that second half. 10 men, let's talk about that very quickly. Yes, Zlatan should have had a second yellow card. I'm not going to argue about it. Yes, he should have had a second yellow card. But Bournemouth can have no complaints about the man who got sent off. And the lad who stamped on Zlatan's head also should have had a red card. So if you want total fairness, we should have had a man sent off at half-time. They should have had two. We still would have had the man advantage. So who gives a shit? At the end of the day, we had the man advantage. We did absolutely nothing with it. The penalty was soft. Zlatan had a bad game today. But ultimately, we created nothing in 45 minutes of football at home, attacking the Stretford end. In a game we had to win, we created no chances against 10 men. And we deserve everything that's going to get thrown at us. Absolutely everything. I've been doing it. You've been doing it. We're not going to be 6th anymore. This is the last day we're going to be 6th. We'll beat Bournemouth at home, and then Liverpool play Arsenal. We can sit back and enjoy it. And we have blown it. We bottled it. The players 100% bottled it. There's no moving away from it. You've got to take it on the chin. That is football. That is football the way it works. And it's ultimately the only people I feel sorry for is all of you lot. The Manchester United fans who, like me, like the people on the watch along, are just frustrated and fed up. And you know what? People who start going on about the League Cup, stick it up your arse. Stick the League Cup right firmly up your arse. Mourinho even said it in the press conference. The League Cup does not dictate our season. It was a nice little bonus, but all it does is put us back in a tournament we didn't want to be in at the start of the season, and that's the Europa League. This season's defined on getting in the Champions League, and to be honest, it's never over, but how many more chances are we going to blow to get ourselves back up there? Drawing at home to Bournemouth against 10 men is a disgrace. It's a shocking, utter disgrace, and we should be absolutely embarrassed with it. Why did we lose it? Because it is like a loss. I'm struggling to see how a team that plays so well up until Calamity Jones's moment of madness then fails to even create. We had so many chances in the first half when it was 11 against 11, and it's difficult. Yes, when teams go down to 10 men, it can be quite difficult. You've got to get that first goal and get ahead, because then they can't defend. But to create very little in 45 minutes, virtually nothing apart from a penalty, is beyond embarrassing. And I tell you what, people are saying Let me just say, Richard Stainer is contributing on the Super Chat, so I've got to read it. This is exactly why we should focus on the Europa League and not Premier League for Champions League qualification. Well, European teams are going to be better than Bournemouth. I'm sorry, Richard. I don't know where that's from, because why should we be focusing on winning the Europa League like we can arrogantly go and win the Europa League? We're going to play tougher teams than Bournemouth at home in the Europa League, 100%. It's not about focusing on one thing and not the other. The utilisation of the squad today by Mourinho was spot on. Playing Luke Shaw, played very well. Playing Wayne Rooney, played very well. Playing Phil Jones, backfired. But utilising the squad when we've got so many games, spot on. I ain't got a problem with that at all. The problem is, our team's not good enough. Our team is not good enough. It lacks something that with 45 minutes, a massive opportunity against 10 men, and you bottle it. You are bottlers. You are bottom line bottlers. Bad performance. Bottlers. That's it. 100%. Where people are saying you can't just level it at the players. I hate to do this because I'm a massive Mourinho fan, but the treble substitution killed us. I thought we weren't doing well, but we were doing far better than we did when he made the treble substitution. I thought taking Carrick off was weird. Rooney was getting tired. Luke Shaw was obviously going to come off, probably because of fitness levels. But the triple substitution was just, it killed us. I think after that, that's when people started to think we're going to draw this game. The most baffling substitution was Fellaini. It's always a baffling substitution. But to bring him on with 20 minutes to go and play him as a defensive midfielder was just suicidal. In the last 5 minutes, we put him in the box, which is exactly where we should have done. What we should have done is kept Michael Carrick on the pitch, because he can hit 40-yard passes from the defensive midfield. What was happening is, Fellaini's getting it in defensive midfield. He can only pass it 5 yards, and there's just no momentum. That was ridiculous. And Mourinho has to be at fault for that. Rashford coming on was the right thing to do. Lingard, people love Lingard and say, oh, Lingard's great, he scores goals at Wembley. He did sod all. That was just he's like a little boy lost, getting shoved off the ball, doing absolutely nothing, getting in Martial's way. I mean, that's all I saw Lingard do, get in Martial's way. Martial was having a good game. I thought he was going to sub Martial, and I was saying, please, whatever happens, do not sub Martial. He brings Lingard on and basically puts him on Martial's shadow and just gets in his way. We were way too easy to defend against when he made that trouble substitution. But the worst part about it was taking Carrick off and putting Fellaini as a defensive midfielder. If you're going to bring Fellaini on, if you've got to bring Fellaini on, he's got to go in the box and you've got to hit the ball into the box. We didn't. We brought him on as a defensive midfielder. We've contributed this to ourselves. Like I said, attacking the Stretford end with 45 minutes against 10 men in a game you've got to win, to not create anything other than a penalty, is abysmal. Hull City, Stoke, Burnley, West Ham, Bournemouth, Arsenal, all home games, all drawn. Not good enough. Not good enough. And the worst thing about this is, it's our own fault. I know, and I totally agree. That the referee was a shambles, an absolute shambles. I don't want to talk about the sendings off because fair enough, Zlatan should have gone, but so should Mings, and the lad who got sent off for Bournemouth deserved to go. But there was another player called Arter who got booked in the first half, who two-footed Pogba and gave a free kick away. It was a yellow card every day of the week and Sunday, and he just didn't want to send another player off, so he didn't do it. And then a minute later, he gives Rashford a yellow card for a shoulder barge. The referee lost that game. Absolutely lost us that game. But we lost it ourselves. The referee didn't lose us that game. I'm losing it in my passion there. The referee was abysmal for both sides. He was abysmal. But we lost that ourselves. Kyle Santuan, absolute bottlers, 100%. Totally agree with that. Absolute bottlers. We didn't create a single chance. That in itself is a major concern, says Aidan Landsberg. Yes, we didn't create a single chance. And there has to be... The blame has to fall with the players. You can't play like they did in the first half an hour, create loads of chances. And Phil Jones, I've never been a massive fan of Phil Jones, but I felt sorry for him today because he was woefully off the pace. He was getting shoulder barged. He was all over the shop. His passing was bad. And then it culminated with the penalty. Phil Jones should have been took off at half time. You know what? That's another thing that I've just totally forgotten. We were absolutely shocking from crosses again. We had about 100 corners and did nothing. And the minute we picked Phil Jones and Rojo, I said, we've got no aerial threat. Smalling should be playing, because as much as people don't like Smalling, he's an aerial threat. He's sat on his arse all game on the bench doing a puzzle, watching Phil Jones go from one calamity to another and offering us absolutely nothing. Smalling should have been on the pitch from half-time and a threat from corners. I mean, maybe I'm finding issues with Mourinho now. I mean, all they're talking about on Sky is the bloody penalties and the red cards. Shove them up your arse. I don't really give a damn about them. What I give a damn about is Manchester United, the countless games we've dropped points at home. And we must not move away from the fact that, yes, the referee was shocking. Yes, Mings should be banned from football for life. But it doesn't move away from the fact that we had 45 minutes against 10 men attacking the Stretford end, and we created nothing. That is on the players. That is on the manager. I thought the triple substitution was a car crash. I thought Fellaini coming on as a defensive midfield was car crash. I thought Phil Jones staying on the pitch after half-time, as much as I felt sorry for him, was car crash. And I think not creating any chances is just abysmal. And ultimately, our Premier League season has been a car crash. An absolute car crash. It is rubbish. And losing all those points that we've lost, ultimately, it's not the fans' fault. It's the players' fault and it's the manager's fault. And yes, we've won the League Cup. But I've been quite consistent about the League Cup. It does nothing other than give us a day out. It doesn't get us in the Champions League and it puts us back in the Europa League. And then to be honest, I'm going to say the same about the FA Cup. Be nice to win it. Couldn't give a damn if we get knocked out of it because it's all about the Champions League. And I don't know. Can we get in the Champions League now? Of course we can. But if you can't win these games, you won't get in there. And the big thing is, people will say, I know they're already saying it, we are actually level for 6th with Liverpool. Whoopie-doo. We've had our games we should have won. Today was our games we should have won. Do you realise we've got to play City, Spurs and Arsenal all away in May? And while we're doing that, people who are battling us for 4th have got easier games. We're playing our easier games now and we're not winning them. So whether we're in touching distance of top 4 or not, do you have the confidence that this team is going to get 9 points from City away, Arsenal away and Spurs away in May? I don't. I think we'll do well to get 5. Well, if everyone else wins their games, we're going to drop points again. We needed to be ingratiated in the top 4 and we've blown it. We are bottlers. And that's the bottom line this season. And he needs to rip the squad apart and he needs to get players in who actually can, in a situation like that, where the pressure is on, produce something. Pogba is another conversation. And I know a lot of people are talking about him. He had 2 very good chances at the end and he bottled them and he didn't have another good game again. But is Pogba the problem, or is it an inclusive, all-encompassing problem that goes right the way through the squad? We go on about Zlatan being a leader, and a leader he is. He didn't lead today. We needed him today. He missed chances and he didn't score. Gutted. Absolutely gutted with it. Really gutted. So frustrating, says Waterworld. We missed Herrera. If he was on the pitch, we win the game, says Dr. Andrew Johnson. I think up until the treble substitution, we were fine. I was quite happy with Rooney's performance. I thought Carrick played well. I just think we needed a little bit of patience. And I think we went gung-ho too soon. And the Fellaini putting him as a defensive midfielder, I don't understand it. What we should have done is made a double substitution. Rooney and Shaw off for Lingard and Rashford. Kept Carrick on for another 10 minutes. Seen how it had gone. And then chucked Fellaini on to go in the box. Bringing Fellaini on for Carrick and letting Fellaini play as a defensive midfielder completely killed us. We just weren't creating anything after that. Mata should have taken the penalty, said Sam. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. I mean, to be honest, to be fair to Zlatan, he scored a good free kick last week. The rest, the 95% of other free kicks he's taken have been crap. We had a really good free kick on the edge of the box. He took it. Pogba, Mata or Rooney were far better from that position. But Zlatan took it. We rely on Zlatan too much, says Nat Kennedy Breeze. Why didn't we play Bayer when he can't play in the Europa League, says Bragg. Probably a good point. Playing Phil Jones probably did cost us the game. Mourinho was in panic mode. Again, shocking sub, says Lidewire B. When stakes are high, where is Pogba, says John99. Herrera is more useful than Pogba, says Tyron. I argued that in the week. United lacked character. Shane McCusker says, I thought Carrick was terrible. He didn't watch the first half an hour. He was fantastic. Kyle Santuan says, stupid making excuses. It's the player's fault. Jose didn't do much wrong. I don't think he did, apart from the substitution of Fellaini for Carrick. I thought Fellaini as a defensive midfielder is stupid. Lingard was invisible, yes. Passing was too slow, says Hamza. I agree. Let's do Pogba versus Herrera again. Well, Herrera won it anyway. And Marcus Rashford, you'd be blocked for that. Thanks. We won't be having stuff like that. And Pogba has had more haircuts. So upset. You can't blame Fellaini for this game. Rooney should have started. He did start, Mofi. Redo your research. Come on. Roma Dude is blaming the stubbornness of Mourinho. And if Zlatan scored that penalty, all of you would have been on your high horse about him. Hypocrite, says Mark Ramnath. But if Jones doesn't make that tackle, we'd have said Jones played well. If he did do it, he did miss it. So of course Zlatan is paid to score them chances. If people want to have a go at Zlatan, they've got every right to have a go at Zlatan. People want to have a go at Jones, they've got to have a right to have a go at him. People want to say Mourinho substitution of putting Fellaini on as a defensive midfielder to sort of dictate the play and have a problem with that. Of course you've got a right to. That's the thin lines of football. If Van Gaal had won a few more games, he wouldn't have got the sack. That's a really weird comment to say, why are people having a go at people? I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. And Anabaf said he's embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I am embarrassed because we should have won that game. And to not win it, there is only ourselves to blame. But I'm just listening to Mourinho. Mourinho there just basically saying we didn't win because Boric had a great game and we didn't create enough chances and this, that and the other. I don't think Boric had a fantastic game. I think he played well in the first half. He didn't really have a lot to do in the second half apart from save a penalty, and that's where this game's been lost or drawn. First half, Boric played well, but we still got 1-0 ahead. Then Phil Jones made the mistake and then the game starts again. And then we didn't really test Boric, if we're totally honest. So we lost this game or drew this game. I call it a loss or a dross, because we did nothing in the second half. That's where it goes. Jake Pert saying the EFL Cup final papered the cracks of poor performances. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Love Nishby, the obsession with Fellaini's stubbornness. Of course it is. I don't know. The squad's just not good enough. It's ultimately embarrassing. It should be good enough to beat Bournemouth, but ultimately those players, for whatever reason, just aren't good enough. And you know what? When you have drawn at home to Hull and Stoke and Burnley and West Ham and Arsenal and now Bournemouth, it's not bad luck. It isn't bad luck. There's a reason for it. And the reason for it is something we and the club and the manager and the players need to understand, because it's a consistent theme now. And when something becomes a consistent theme, there's a reason for it. I would say, as a rough guess, without really thinking about it, the players are bottlers. And that's why I've called this video Mourinho's Bottlers, because it's harsh, but it's true. It's happened too many times. They bottled games they should have won. And that's the bottom line, isn't it? That is the bottom line. I don't agree with Josie Pullis. He's been saying it all season that the manager's not good enough. I think he's got stubborn aspects to his game that concern me. Giovanni just said, I don't trust the team anymore. I haven't trusted this team for a long time. I haven't trusted it for a long, long time. I think it can hit the highs, but it bottles it too often at home. Disappointing. Thanks everyone for watching. We're going to go and have a couple of hours away from football now. Not interested in Liverpool v Arsenal. Why would we be? Why would we be interested in that? Why should we be interested in that? Realistically, I just can't see us doing it. I don't trust this team. I don't trust these players. And to be honest, ultimately, when it gets to the important parts of the game, I don't trust Mourinho and what he does with Fellaini. I don't trust it. It just doesn't work. I can't think of a game that it's mattered where it's worked in the league, and that's where it matters. I know it's worked in Europa League game a couple of months ago, but Too many points dropped. Too many points dropped. I will be doing a video tonight. It will be live about 8 o'clock. Player ratings, if you can stand to watch that. I will have calmed down a little bit more. I'll be a bit more pragmatic, but I don't think the scores will be any better. I'll see you later at 8 o'clock. Thanks everybody for watching. Get commenting below and give your thoughts, because if you've got the answer that's different to mine, I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching.